Welcome back to Gale Force Wins Season 2. Season 1 in 2021 consisted of 92 episodes, and the stories have inspired a vast cross-section of people. The feedback that Alan and Jerry receive daily was compelling and inspires us to bring so much more to you in 2022. Thank you to those that joined us in Season 1. We continue to explore the journeys of Canadians doing inspiring things.
You look like we're ready to roll.
Yeah, we're good. Ready to roll?
Yeah.
Okay. And it's recording?
Yes, sir. It's recorded.
Sometimes
he doesn't trust me.
Sometimes the outtakes are the best. All right, there's camera, fellas, right there. Okay.
Yeah, so that's the camera right there.
Yeah. So if you want to make a point, just look right on in there, okay? We'll get started now whenever we're ready. Jerry, you good?
Ready to roll.
All right, well, welcome to another edition of Gale Force Wins, and this time we're on location in the East End of St. John's. I'm pretty excited about it. I'm Alan Dale, and with me as always, my good buddy from this part of the world, Jerry Carew. How are you, Jerry?
Well, you know, there's all kinds of things I could say here this morning, and I'm going to go into it a little bit. Technically, it's been a challenge. You know, we're here, first of all, for the people.
Right.
Larry and Chris and everyone else we got. But I think the other thing we're here for is the view. And the forecast was for cloud. So anyone who knows video, and I'm not going to bore everybody, video or photography up against a window was incredibly challenging. The forecast was for cloud. I'm the only person in St. John's now pissed off that the sunshine is shining there. And, you know, I think we've technically got it as good as we can get. It's a little washed out in the back, but as the sun rises, it'll get a little bit better. But, yeah.
Absolutely. Well, it is a beautiful day here in St. John's, and we are at the Evoo restaurant on Duckworth Street, which is about as far east as you can go in North America, actually. So we're pretty close to the edge of North America, the eastern edge of North America, right here at the Evoo restaurant, and pretty excited to be in this conversation today. So, gentlemen, why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, hi, my name is Barry Bennett, co-owner of Evoo Restaurant.
And I'm Chris Chafe, also co-owner of Evoo Restaurant.
And you know what, boys? Thank you for having us here.
Like,
what Alan and I are really interested in is how you build a business, you know, the challenges of going through and all that. But there's not another restaurant really that I know of in St. John's, probably in the world, that has this kind of a view.
Yeah,
so
that's right, yeah.
It's pretty beautiful.
Yeah, we're fortunate to have this this space available to us for the last couple of years. It's been challenging for Chris and myself. But we managed to get through it, and you know, we're looking for better days ahead.
Yeah.
So, Barry, tell us about yourself. Where are you from?
I grew up in St. John's. I grew up mostly in the downtown area. Just spent a little bit of time up on Gower Street here. Just so I'm very familiar with the downtown area and this sort of part of downtown. Went to Brother Rice High School, and I've been in this industry now for close on 40 years.
Wow, 40 years in the food service industry.
40 years, yeah. I started off as a dishwasher out of high school. I was still in high school at the age of 15 years old.
Is that right?
And I started at there's two places actually. It was the Courtyard Restaurant in the Murray premises. And some people may not or may remember this place, the Smorgasburg on Topsail Road.
Okay.
Which,
Yeah, I remember that.
so we're going back a ways now.
Before my time.
Yeah. I don't even know Chris was really born then.
Barry, you learned a lot as a dishwasher in that business, eh?
Well, I tell you, you have to start in the dishwasher. You have to start as a dishwasher to appreciate the job that these people do. A restaurant don't run without a dishwasher or a good dishwasher. It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And these people are the hardest working people in the business.
Yeah.
They're less, I guess, I don't know, for lack of a better word, less appreciative, I guess, or you know, there is a thankless job, I should say. But they work to the bone by, and they're the hardest working people in the restaurant business.
Yeah, because if that part fails in the business,
yeah.
Right, things tend to slow down.
Yeah, you need it. I mean, you know, the chefs need maybe, you know, lots of pans clean.
Yeah.
The restaurant needs dishes clean, the rotations and everything else, and you've got nobody there to do it.
Yeah, and you're dishwashing in a fast-paced environment. Yeah. Learn a few things. You learn a few new words too, I bet, when you're young.
That's the one guy you don't want to call him sick.
Well, no, right, exactly. Yeah, and, you want to learn a lot of new words.
It's real teamwork, though, isn't it, to pull this off?
It is. I mean, Christmas up. I tell you right now, we got the best team in any restaurant. I guarantee you, we have a solid team. Right from the dish, we call it the dish pit, right up to the floor manager, our chefs. I mean, it just doesn't get any better than the people that we have on board right now.
And when you're the co-owner of a restaurant and you started in the dish pit, comes with that street cred, right?
Oh yeah,
you know, you've earned your keep in the business.
Exactly. I mean, Chris has been there too. I mean, he can contest to this as well. He can tell his story. But my story was that you started in the dish pit, and then there came a day where I was asked if I can go out in front. One of the maitre d's gave me one of his puffy white shirts. He said, "Put it on, his sleeves hanging off me and everything." He said, "I need a busboy for out front." And at the end of the night, I got a few bucks tips, and that was it for me. He was out front from there on in.
You knew that's where you wanted to be?
That's where I wanted to be, yeah. So,
anybody else in the family in the food service industry growing up?
Yeah, my brother was a chef for many years. My brother, of course, he's not well now, but he's been a chef in the restaurant business for close to 30, 35 years as well.
Wow. So it was in the family.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. Chris, how about you?
So, like Barry, born and raised in St. John's. Went through school, graduated at Booth Memorial High School.
We won't hold that against you.
Yeah.
Two pro race guys. He went to Gonzaga.
That's it. After the podcast, we'll kick the shit out of him.
I said I was from Booth. Good luck with that.
We'll kick shit out of you. I don't know. I don't think I can take you.
And I went to university. I was in biochemistry in university at Memorial for a few years, and the whole time cooking as I was in university. And just at school every day, just dying to get to work and hating school completely. So I did about 3 years university, like I said, the whole while in the kitchen, and decided to make the full-time change. And I dropped out of university, I was 20 or 21, I guess, and then pursued cooking full-time. Like Barry, started in the dish when I was 16 years old at a restaurant.
Remember what restaurant that was?
Yeah, Magnum Steins. Okay. It's still around now.
Yeah,
it's just our neighbors to the west. Similar situation. It was just for Christmas. There was 3 cooks who kind of put their notice in on the one day. Left the chef in a position, and I kind of stepped in and said, "Oh, I can do that." And they laughed at me and said, "Haha, kid, go back and dish or whatever. I don't know if you're ready for that yet." And kind of pushed my way into the kitchen and kind of haven't looked back since. Met Barry a few years back at a restaurant we both worked at, and this opportunity came up, and it's honestly the best thing that happened to me in my career has been this restaurant so far. It's fantastic.
Is this your first ownership?
Yeah.
Just tell us a little. Alan knows where I'm going to go with this. Like the transition from a paycheck to being on your own.
More stress.
Yeah, but I mean, how long did it take you to make that decision? And just talk a little bit about that process. What we find is some entrepreneurs kind of gloss over that, but that's the big aha moment, isn't it? Where you make that transition.
Honestly, for me as a chef, the culinary trade is underpaid as opposed to a lot of other trades. You look at a journeyman electrician, a journeyman carpenter, journeyman positions make twice the money a lot of times a journeyman chef makes. So for me, it's always been the end goal for me is to own my own restaurant. If I wanted to be in this industry, I wanted to make some serious money. I have 2 kids and a family. The money I was making as someone else's chef just wasn't really paying those bills for me. So it was always a dream of mine, and the opportunity kind of came up, and it was a no-brainer for me, just based on, like I said, the chefs are not the most best paid position in the world, and it was a way to kind of set something up for my family for the future.
Mm-hmm. So for you, Barry, like you haven't been on your own your whole life. How long have you been totally on your own in this industry?
Well, I was previous owner of the previous restaurant that was here for a few years. But that didn't work out the way I hoped. But anyway, this kind of fell back into my lap again when I was approached to reopen up the restaurant. I was always asked if I can get a good chef to be partnered with, we'll go ahead and do it. And it took me 5 minutes to give Chris a call and said, "Listen, this is the opportunity we got now of a lifetime." And here we are today.
So you had challenges in the previous operation.
Yes.
Despite all that, you're going to go back at it.
Most guys that open up restaurants have no knowledge of the cooking business because they're afraid of it.
Yeah.
Or because guys that are in it know how things can go wrong pretty quickly, right?
Yeah.
But you guys were in it. You knew what you were getting into, and you knew. So how long have you guys known each other through this process?
6 years.
Six, 7 years, yeah.
So it's not like a lifetime that you guys know each other?
No, I mean, we worked together with the previous restaurant, and, Chris and I had a great relationship, and we thought, I think we could better.
That's the cloud that was forecast.
I just seen the cloud. I think it just got better there.
Yeah, it did.
But anyway, so Chris and I had a good relationship, and with the previous restaurant, and so he went on his way, and of course, and a couple of years later, I knew that Chris probably wasn't happy in his other chef's position where he was doing, and so I gave him a call, and I said, "This is the opportunity that we have, everybody. You want to get in? I don't know what."
It's funny, sorry, discontent is actually a good thing in many times, isn't it?
Well, yeah, things happen for a reason, and I'm always an optimist. I mean, I look forward to the future. I'm always positive, things will always get better, right? And you can't change the past. No. And just leave it alone, and you can only change the future, and look forward to it. That's it.
So you and Chris, you've got the front end figured out. Chris got the back end figured out. You figure, okay, let's give this a shot.
Yeah.
Together, let's you're connecting with one another. You trust, big thing, right?
Trust is everything,
right?
Absolutely,
100%. So you trust one another that we're going to give this a good shot, and you decide this is the place to do it right here. Tell us about this place.
Well, this you mean this place right here?
Yeah.
Well, this is a building now that's been here for, geez, I don't know. I mean, since Great Fire, I suppose. Since they rebuilt it again. There's always been a service station that people remember, an Irving station, a KFC. Years ago, when they decided to open up as a restaurant, the former Portobello's, they totally renovated it and made it what it was in this space today with the windows and everything they put in there. And everything else. So, it was this space was meant to be that. I mean, it wasn't meant to be anything else other than a great space for people to come in and dine and enjoy some great culinary food and wine. And this thing out in the back of me here now is just $1 million money shot there, right? So
it's an unbelievable location. I mean, when you think about it, isn't it?
Well, not to geek out totally, but I mean, I was saying to you, Alan, what's amazing, and the topography of Newfoundland is still incredible. But the fact that the sun rises right up the middle of the Narrows is not lost on me how special that is.
No, and we're the first people in North America to see the sunrise every day, right? So, and we can thank God for that. I mean, it's we're lucky to where we're doing in the place that we're into. It's just absolutely breathtaking.
So, do you get to see this view, or are you in the kitchen all the time?
Actually, no. The last, I guess, year or so per se, I got a real good chef here at Evoo, Lacey. Lacey kind of heads up the day-to-day operations in the kitchen. I still oversee for distance and kind of trying to let her kind of grow a little and take off in her career. Yeah. She's a fantastic talent and just a great work ethic. She leads the team in a positive manner. So trying to let her expand her repertoire a little and step away and get Barry to teach me a little about the front side of things, right? Because as a business owner, you need to know more than just, I need to just not be pigeonholed in the kitchen because, if he wants to go on vacation or we need to know a little bit about what each other does. Yeah. And that's why we work really well together in that, because different personalities. Like Barry Sir, he's the optimist, I'm the pessimist. we get that balance. We get that balance. The last little while I've been stepping away from the kitchen a little bit. Kitchen takes a toll. I've had 15 years in the kitchen. It's hard. I've had many 75, 80-hour work weeks in my career, and that's on my feet all day. No lunch breaks, none of that. Like just work all day, every day. So I got a little tired from that. So it's kind of trying to step away from that and learn a little bit other sides of the business.
It's funny. Sorry to interrupt you, Barry, but it's funny. I read an article. Actually, I used to work at the Telegram, and they wrote a story. I don't know if you guys remember. I don't know, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago. But the headline of it was "The Fatigue of Feeding People." And I read that, and I was thinking about you guys and girls in this industry, and I was like, I get tired feeding my family sometimes. The big debate for every family is, well, what are we having for supper tonight?
That's right, John.
My 18-year-old texts, what are we having for supper? I don't know. Why don't you cook something for something? Right. But you guys do that every day. No wonder it can be tiring, right?
It's mentally and physically, it's just definitely a draining industry. People don't see that a lot of time, right? You see the glitz and glamour on TV, celebrity chefs, like happy kitchens and stuff, but it's not necessarily like that. No, if I can tell you how many meals I've eaten standing up while cooking, out of a plate, you know what I mean, while two guys are yelling at me, it's a different industry now. It is changing. There's a lot more, thankfully, some more regulations and some more, you know, like how I picked up smoking at 17 was being told, go inside unless you're having a smoke, go in and clean something. Right, so that's literally.
So having smoked, you got a break.
Yeah, right?
Exactly. Yeah, in this industry, that's right. If you didn't smoke, you don't get a break. Yeah. So a lot of people pick up smoking.
No, we don't run our place like that. Like you said, we that is changing the industry, but that's, you know, when Barry started, probably even worse than when I started. Yeah. It was very. There's no rest for the wicked type thing. It was, you know, if you're not having a smoke and literally I was told go clean something.
Yeah. And not only that, I mean, you're working at the exact times that most other people are off, right? So when you got holidays and vacations and all that kind of stuff, that's when you guys kick in to support that, right? Like right now, it's like March break, probably not here, but in the rest of Canada, it's March break for the kids. Everybody's heading out to restaurants and stuff. That's when you guys are working. You got kids and stuff too.
That's right. Yeah.
Right? It's a challenging industry, and it's one that unless you're really passionate about it, you probably wouldn't be in it, right?
That's right, Jeff. Yeah, 100%.
So tell me now, you're not formally trained as a chef. You you apprenticed your way through, learned as you went. Do you remember some of the chefs that you worked under and what those people meant to you?
So Antonio Esperanza was the first chef I really worked under. Antonio's still a chef in the city. I think he's at the Rock Steakhouse right now. Taught me a hell of a lot. Taught me the roast industry, all the basics, you know, just kind of my step into the industry and so much more. I trained in Alberta. I lived in Edmonton for a couple of years. I worked at a restaurant called Madison's Grill in the Union Bank Inn. It's a very fancy hotel. Blair Lebsack, who's a very well-known chef in Alberta. Trained under him for a while. Again, taught me a ton. You know, and I did take over kitchens fairly early in my career. I was 21 when I first took over executive chef position at Magnum Steins. So from then, like I a lot of self-teaching. I have, my God, I lost count. Well over 100 cookbooks home on a shelf that I've read front to back. And, you know, I love kind of playing with food and just experimenting. So I taught myself a lot. And co-workers, not necessarily chefs that I've worked with, but I've worked with a ton of chefs there alongside me that have just taught me a ton over the years. You know, it's hard to go through all the names. There's been dozens and dozens, but...
And now you're passing it back to the next.
I try to help where I can, and I definitely teach some. I got a colleague, said Lacey downstairs, who's like, Lacey's worked with me at a couple past restaurants I've been with. She came on board when we opened up. Myself and Barry own a bar called Slancha as well, and my chef over there is the same thing. He's a kid that's worked for me at past jobs that kind of, you know, look up to me a little bit. So I brought him on board to run that restaurant. And yeah, so I kind of truly believe that, you know, it's a true test of your skills if you can pass them on and teach someone else how to run a kitchen themselves. So
just got to touch on something. Did you not open? You pronounce it Slancha. Slancha. Okay. You opened that in the middle of COVID, did you not?
Yeah.
Well, just like think about that, Alan.
Well, I want to dive into that too, Jerry. I mean, there's one thing knowing a restaurant, nothing knowing a bar, right? In this town as well. That's right. There's a lot of bars in this town.
Yeah, there is.
There's another thing to open a bar in this town. So tell us about opening it and why you chose it.
Well, since Chris and I have been in this space, the former Granite space down next door to us has been vacant. And my idea was always to open up a beautiful high-end piano whiskey style bar. So the space was available, and last year, I mean, COVID, we're running at 100% occupancy. The masks were lifted for 6 or 8 weeks, and so we seen an opportunity then, thinking, geez, you know, this is pretty well the end of it. We seen the space there. We said, let's do it, and so we got it done. We opened up October of last year. And we were open up for about 6 or 8 weeks before we were told that.
Yeah.
Sucker for punishments, I guess. I mean, that comes to the Leafs fan too, right? So it makes me.
You're a Leafs fan, of course.
I know, right? I make some poor decisions, but anyway, that's it. We stick with them and hope for the best. And someday.
But you know, on that point, Slancha is a beautiful spot. Alan and I've been there, and you know, I'm a musician. I play trumpet in Jazz East. Alan's a drummer. I think you should be commended for what you're doing. You're giving live music a venue, and let's face it, the musicians have really been hit hard, right? Yeah. So just talk a little bit about your vision there with that.
I mean, we got some of the best entertainment that this province has to offer in regards to musicians. I mean, you know, you get the likes of Bill Brennan,
Nick Earl,
Brownway, the Holidays,
Mike Harriet on trumpet.
Mike Harriet, Jesus Christ.
He went to Brother Race.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I mean, these are some world class entertainment there, and you know, I don't want to miss out on a few other names now.
Wade Tarling, Dana Parsons, Corey Pike, Larry
Corey
Foley.
Pike,
There's been a lot of musicians too.
Wow.
We wanted to offer, you know, nothing wrong with the traditional Irish folk music. That's a big part of our scene here. But you can see that at a lot of bars. It's a lot of what you see. So we're trying to offer slightly different type of music with the trumpet and the jazz. We've had saxophone players. We've had, you know, Wade played 3 instruments the other night, all with keys. So some of them were. So it's we're trying to offer something a little different, a little different than the Irish.
Yeah, and just a little more up class a little as well, right? A place where people can go, just down and have a nice glass of wine. Yeah, it's just some finger foods and just listen to some great music. And that's what it's all about.
And again, a fantastic view out of that spot too, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, and it is. Jerry and I went there. I guess it was not long after you opened it, and I don't know, but I walked in there and it felt like I was in Manhattan or something. There was just a feel about that place. It's quite spectacular.
It gives you that feel that you don't feel like you're in St. John's. You know, you know, you're somewhere else. Right?
And that was what we said about the view, and it was up for grabs for us to rent it. And that's what we made that decision during COVID. But if we didn't, someone else would have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. If we didn't put a cool bar or a restaurant there, there was people lining up to do it. Our landlord has been great to us, and he gave us kind of first crack at it. Yeah. So we did put something there. We'd have a competitor next door to us.
Right.
You know what I mean? We'd have It did. I know a lot of people look from the outside and say, "Oh, it doesn't make any sense to open a place during COVID," but for us, it made complete sense. We had a $1 million view next to our restaurant. You know what I mean? We still got to do one liquor or grocery run just in the same building. The logistics of it's very easy. And like I guess I didn't want someone else to put a bar.
And they complement each other too, right? So so I mean, you know, people want to come in for dinner, no one else here is for an after dinner drink, or vice versa. Yeah. This area as well is becoming a more little destination. You know, with the other Brewdock, Bannerman, you know, Sparrow across the street. So this has become more of a destination for people as well, as opposed to the other end of Water Street and George Street. They're coming here, and you know they'll come here for a drink. Oh, let's go over there now for a beer, or let's go in here for dinner now.
You make a good point, though. It's nice to have a collective of opportunities and places to go. I noticed there's another place opening where the old pool hall used to be.
Brass Rack,
Is that a restaurant or what is that?
I believe it's going to be a cafe.
Bakery soup sandwiches.
Yeah, that sort of thing. Yeah. So,
but again, you know, having a collective. What I really like too about Atlantica is that you can actually walk from this restaurant right through. You've got I didn't realize, because from the outside, unless you come in here, you won't know that you can actually do that. Right? So that actually was nice, because we had supper here one Friday night, and the whole family went over there. And being able to walk through at a rainy night, it's nice, right?
You're right about this area too. I mean, I grew up down in this end of the St. John's, and it was, 30 years ago, this wasn't necessarily a spot to set up things. No. Right? And 20 years ago, I would argue it wasn't either. No. But certainly this kind of great wave of gentrification has found its way in around Corcoran Street, Gower Street, and Ducker Street. It's actually quite lovely down here. It'd always been lovely view-wise, but now you've got all of these really unique kind of establishments sprouting up. It draws people to this end of town. Why the whiskey bar? Tell me about that. Was there a passion for whiskey somewhere along the way?
There is no whiskey bar in St. John's.
There you go.
So we're the first and only piano whiskey bar. A little more high end again. It's just, it's not for everybody, I guess. Right. But it's just a nice place to go. A great selection of whiskeys, wines, cocktails. It's just not available in St. John's. It just till we open up. And, so this is St. John's first whiskey wine bar.
And that's incredible. Did you find there was a craving for it? Are people coming in? Yeah, to check that out.
I've had 3 or 4 people kind of thank me when I'm down there, say just thank you for building an adult bar. Right. It's kind of what I've been kind of expressed. People feel like they can come and sit with adults and not have to. George Street's great. I spent many nights down there, but you're going to see the 18-year-old kid breaking beer bottles, or the fights, or the chaos, and like I said, it's more of a upscale. That doesn't mean you have to drink $40 scotch. You know what I mean? Yeah. You can have a Coors Light reasonably priced. There's regular approachable items on the menu, but it's just the atmosphere and vibe is definitely a little more of adult setting than down on George Street. Yeah.
Are you both whiskey drinkers?
No, not so much. I'm not actually a huge drinker. I don't drink very much.
No,
very, very.
Jerry and I don't drink at all.
So Alan and I spent some time early in our lives in a different space, and we've decided at the I was 49 when I decided I had enough of this, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, it's. I got a question for you about building something. I can see the pride, Chris, and what is it like to be able to tell someone when you own a facility like this? Like, how proud are you of the work you're doing here?
Unbelievably, like I said, other than my family, there's nothing I'm more proud of, to be honest, other than my kids. So it's like I said, it's been a dream and a goal of mine for a long time. Was to open my own spot, and it's exactly what I pictured. So
see, that's why, like, I have so much respect for our guests.
Oh yeah,
that's what gets me going. Listening to you talk like that, it's been a goal of yours for years, and here you are doing it.
Yeah.
What does it feel like for you to build something? You've done it a couple of times now.
Well, it takes great pride. I mean, when I tell people, people ask me what I do for a living. I own a restaurant, I own a bar downtown, and I tell them what it is. I know what their expectations are when they hear it. It's, oh my God, the Evoo restaurant, you have one of my best meals here, and all you hear about it is online, all positive and stuff about it. And same with the whiskey bar downstairs. I mean, you don't hear any negativity about it whatsoever. So that pulled a string in my heart, because I worked so hard for it over the years to build. This is what I wanted to do, and make a comfortable living. I mean, we're not going to sneak rich out of this by no means, but if we can make this last for many years ahead of us, we'll be okay. And again, it's a comfortable living, and I'm just happy to have it.
Your tolerance for risk is amazing. we live in a society, certainly, and I think the academic institutions and stuff marinate us in this. They take us away from wanting to take risk, right? But you guys seem to be willing to take risk and try something. And just your one comment that, well, it was somebody else was going to do it, we might as well get in there.
Yeah.
People said you were crazy to do it in the middle of COVID. You said, no, we were thinking the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Talk to me a little bit about why you think that way. Because that's a very unusual way to think, right? You're willing to take on that risk.
Go ahead, Chris.
For me, I was just super confident in the team we have, to be honest. That starts with me and Barry, our partnership. Like I said, we work very well together. And then all the way down through, we have fantastic management and team. We were able to pull people in to help us run that. We have a fantastic lady named Maria Alfonso who does all of our social media and advertising. And it's just a great team of people that I know. If someone was going to be able to do that successfully, it would be us.
Right.
So, I guess it's a confidence thing that we've developed. And,
Absolutely. Yeah.
Just keep going. I'm going to close the door while you're talking.
So, okay, well, on that note, tell me about the team, because you keep mentioning over and over again, you got this person, great person. Tell me about the team, and more important, what that team means to you.
Well, when we first opened up this restaurant, we hired, we not overhired. Now, Chris had his team already picked out into the kitchen because he knew who he wanted to work with years ago, a couple of years ago. So, and pretty well that team is still the core team that's on there now today. And same with the front of house as well.
Right.
When I hired, I hired 50, 60 people, and I found 15 core people that I wanted to work with. And these people are still here today. They tell me they love their job, and they tell me that they love coming to work, and that's what you want. You want people who are wanting to come to work and not wanting to have to come to work.
Right, because that translates right to the table.
Oh,
right?
Absolutely, yeah. And you treat them with respect, and then they'll treat you back with respect, and then they respect the customers and the place that they're into, and each other as well as coworkers. We don't have any sort of drama going on here. Nobody's arguing about this one or talking about this one. It's just a good, solid core of people, kitchen-wise and front of house-wise, and our management that holds us together for us as well.
Right.
So it's nice to hear. I don't know about you, but I mean, at my age, I'm almost 56 now. I'm done with drama. I don't need it.
Well,
I don't need it.
So there's always drama in the kitchen. It got to be a bit of drama.
you know what I mean? It arguments pop up.
Sure.
But then that falls back, for me, on leadership. So on the ice squashing, like I said, I have Lacey down there who could squash the conflict and settle it one way or another.
Right.
Obviously, there's disagreements here and there, but never anything major. Like I said, I've been, at this.
Keep her level,
18 years at this, and less fighting.
When you got a full restaurant and it's busy, I mean, of course, then you are going to get your front of house and your kitchen. that's just a little rivalry there anyway.
Doesn't
matter where you go.
That's a healthy tension.
It is,
right?
Absolutely. Because at the end of the night, then they'll come up, they'll sit down, they'll have a glass of wine together and talk about how good the night was and this sort of thing, and just pat each other on the back and say, "Great job tonight, guys." And
kitchen can be a tough bunch to deal with sometimes.
Yeah.
No, 100%, right? I mean, you got some pretty passionate people in the kitchen, right? Like they want, if the server's not there right away to take it, they put their heart and soul into that dish. They don't want it sitting under a warm light there, ruining what they've just done. Yeah. So there's a lot of tension there, and it's a healthy tension by the sounds of it right here. Are you kind of focused? So first of all, let's stay with the team. Are they mostly local people, or are they from all over?
It's mostly local.
Yeah,
but there's a few. We have a couple people from the mainland and guy from the Philippines working for us, and a few different places, but mostly local.
Right.
Yeah.
And tell me about your ingredients. Are you trying to do local as well?
As best we can. Local sometimes, I mean, we try to source local, but sometimes the cost of local is not as...
Right.
Especially in the restaurant business, your margins are very small. For
100%.
And so you try to get the best product possible. And we buy local when we can. Yeah. If it's available. Sometimes it's not as easy as...
this time of the year is almost impossible.
Right, of course. But there's definitely a Newfoundland flair to the menu.
Oh,
yes, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Right?
Yep. And we use all local seafood and yes, local products when we can, local microgreen suppliers. I use local herb suppliers. Actually, a chef that I worked with years ago that's since retired and grows herbs and things like that.
Oh yeah.
So we do support where we can. I know a friend of mine owns a restaurant called Chinched. We use his charcuterie products, his wholesale charcuterie for slancha. So like you said, like Barry said, we try when it's cost efficient and when the product is obviously up to par. Yeah. But you come January through June in Newfoundland, it's
unless you're just serving potatoes and carrots.
It's hard to find produce.
Given the state of the world right now, gasoline prices and all that, how are you going to stay ahead of pricing and all that? Like that must be a little bit of a concern for you, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a concern. Now, right now is really not reflecting on pricing right now. Now we see it down the pipe because it's coming. Right. But at this point in time, when we do our daily shopping, price really hasn't changed that much yet. It's coming. We know it's coming, but it's we grim and bear it as we come along. And if unfortunately if we had to change our pricing structure on our menus, well then it'll have to be that way as well. Right. But right now we're not jumping on that bandwagon, and we're just going to see what happens.
Just inflation, everything goes up eventually.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But I mean, it sounds to me like if you're willing to set up a restaurant, open a bar in the middle of a world pandemic, and you can navigate that, I think the next challenge over the horizon is probably manageable for you guys, right?
We like to think so.
Yeah. I think right now is going to be very manageable. I mean, hopefully this is the end of the beginning of the end,
right?
For everybody, and I think we're going to have a very good summer. We're anticipating. I mean, the phone is ringing off the wall there.
Is that right?
Group bookings and stuff like this, bus tours. The hotel tells us they're full and they're booked out in June.
Really? Well, it's come home here, right?
Well, it's come home here too. So I think a lot of people are going to be traveling. Traveling without restrictions now. I mean, other than having to wear a mask on a plane. Yeah. No isolation or anything like this. So I think Marine Atlantic is up 600% in their reservations.
Yeah.
Compared to this time last year for June, they said they got over 8,000 calls in the last 6 or 8 weeks. Ever since they decided to drop the price, 22% for May and June. The 8,000 phone calls, bookings.
Just listening to them talk like this. Frankly, the last 2 years have been hellish. Right. Yeah. That being said, we're coming through it. Let me ask you this: when the shutdown happened, which was essentially 2 years ago this week, like you had just kind of reopened the View, or just started really. There must have been some dark times in your head. Jesus.
Well, Jerry, again,
not to go too deep into the darkness.
Listen, I'm the optimist, and again, we opened up in December of 2019. We had, the first week or two was a little slow going because we were just new open. Yeah. But the rest of December, New Year's Eve, we had right 3-4 weeks in it, and even January until we hit the snowstorm, of course, and that really threw a monkey wrench into everybody's business here. We reopened again, and had a good February month, and then of course
March.
Everybody got a kick in the ass with the COVID. But and then we scrambled, and we done okay there. We had a little bit of money in the bank, not a whole lot, but we said we'll open up for takeout, and that went well. That kept the lights on for us, and for about 6 or 8 weeks until we reopened, and of course in the local community, always supporting our local businesses anyway. So once we opened, it was busy again and then we had a great summer, and a decent summer, and then last summer was pretty good.
Yeah, it's unbelievable to listen to stories of restaurants navigating COVID, because that probably one of the hardest hits, right? I mean, other than healthcare workers who got it front and center, right? The service industry, the restaurants,
financially
really took it on the chin.
Anything tourism related.
The tourist industry really took it on the chin. If any industry at all, the tourist industry really took the hardest.
And I love how you talk about local supported you, right? You hear that a lot, especially here a lot in Atlantic Canada. Locals helping one another stay afloat, keep the lights on, words that you mentioned there. Tell me what this place means to you. Tell me what Newfoundland, St. John's, East End means to you guys.
I grew up in St. John's. I mean, it's a beautiful city. The people are magnificent. Just the culture of being from St. John's. We're from Newfoundland for that matter. And it's just amazing. I mean, to wake up and come into work and see this every morning, it awes me every day. I mean, I grew up downtown. I'm 54 years old now, and every day I see this, and it does not get old. And I'm proud to be from Newfoundland. I'm proud to be from St. John's, and just like the culture, the people, the food, the music. I mean, St. John's has everything to offer.
Except for weather.
Well, except for today.
We couldn't even shoot today. It was so sunny.
It's the only time today that there's
a couple of clouds.
We complain about the sun,
but you guys say that, and I've been coming back and forth a lot. I'm from St. John's, as you know. I live in Prince Edward Island, and I find that every time I come back, the weather is always fantastic.
You know why?
You should stay then.
I should stay.
Alan comes here and he brings the sunshine.
That's what he should say.
In all respects.
But it's more than that. When I come back, it's I have a new appreciation for this place. I look at it now through a different lens, and it is a very, very special place. Yeah. You've hit on a lot of the key things, right? The culture, the view, where you are geographically. But it all comes down to one thing, and that's the people here. There's something very special about these people. And we see that vein find its way into everything that Jerry and I touch here, whether it's in the tech sector, whether it's government officials. Everybody wants to see people do well here.
Absolutely.
Right? That is a very special place to have a business. What's it mean to you?
Well, I think Barry touched on mostly for me. Like I said, proud of our history, culture, and the people. And like I said, I have 2 young kids. And I couldn't see myself raising them anywhere else.
How old are you, Chris?
10 and 5. So, our crime rates are going up a little here, but in comparison, we're, still a very, very safe place to raise your kids. They say a sense of community, a sense of family, and I wouldn't choose anywhere else to live, really. I'd like a longer golf season. Other than that, we're, I love it here.
That's a 4-letter word I like. I gotta talk about something. So, my interest in a former deceased businessman, Jeff Sterling, is well known. We've talked to Jesse, but I gotta ask you this. I saw on Sunday morning, Alan, it was him, Jeff Sterling, giving a presentation to what was then Cabot College of North Atlantic. But he talked about confidence. And I was watching that Sunday morning and I was thinking about it, and he said, all we need in Newfoundland is confidence. And he's right. The confidence that you exhibited to pull yourself out of being just, and I don't want to diminish just in the kitchen, but to take this on is incredible. The confidence you have to do the same thing. This is inspiring, and I commend both of you for creating something that's employing people. and doing and expanding in the middle of COVID now. Like,
oh,
wow.
Listen, you know, if somebody had said, oh yeah, I met a fella that he opened up a restaurant in the middle of COVID, then he opened up a bar in the middle of COVID. He had a 6-year-old and an 8-year-old at the time. You say, that guy must be nuts, right? But you did it, and it is confidence, right? And it's because you knew that you could do it, you knew your team could do it, and you knew together that you trusted one another to pull something like this. And look where we are now. I mean, it's just fantastic.
I mean, the 2.5 years, I mean, Chris, we hadn't had a disagreement yet. And, you know, other than, you know, minor stuff. I'm not sure about that or that, but they actually physically argue about something.
Right.
Or shout each other out or call this one an asshole or that one. Never, ever had that issue. 2.5 years ago, both of us were unemployed.
Yeah.
And today we employ almost 50 people.
Wow.
So it's you know, it's about the hard work, determination. Put your head down, charge at it, and get it done.
But to bury on that note, where do you get that confidence? Where does that come from? Who are the mentors or the role models that have helped you, or have you just done it yourself?
I just done it myself, Jerry. I mean, to the point where why let something let you down when you can actually change it? It's all about attitude, and my attitude is: listen, if you don't like it, move ahead, move on. You can't change the past.
Right.
Don't let people bring you down. If somebody doesn't like it, that's okay. That's okay. You know, I don't mind that. Then you can go on and do your own thing as well.
But attitude is great.
Yeah.
I'm not diminishing that. That doesn't put money in your bank account, right?
So, well, when you want to go get something, you go after it.
Right.
And
talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. Well, I mean, again, going back to when I had to close the previous restaurant. I mean, I took some time off I went to actually work down Turks and Caicos for a couple of months with a friend of mine who has a restaurant bar down there. And I came home, and then the restaurant fell into our laps. And I mean, I was probably thinking about getting my real estate license and maybe sell houses or cars. I mean, I can sell ice to an Eskimo, but this fell into our lap, and it took us 6 months to renovate it and everything else, and just get it going. And I said, yes, okay, opportunity's knocking. Just open the door. And same with the lunch downstairs. The opportunity was there, and we just said, "Let's do it," before somebody else takes it on us.
Guys, we often hear, and the word is used so often, the phrase is used so often: "Follow your passion, and you'll never work another day in your life." Right? Yeah. And everybody says that, and everybody says, "That's who does that?" I sense you're in it. I sense you're there right now in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, somebody asked me, just when you think you're going to retire? They asked me my age. I said, well, you're going to retire soon? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Anytime
you love it, right?
Yeah. I mean, this is what we work so hard for. You want to still put the passion into it as well. I mean, your customers come down and say, hey, is Chris or Barry here tonight? They just want to say hello, and they just want to see your face and just a simple greet. They say, hey, how you doing? Nice to see you back again. And
how's that make you feel when they want to see you?
Well, it's a great feeling. Because I think a lot of people come down to see Chris and myself, and they go into the whiskey bar down there as well, and they say it's at most, hello, shake your hand.
Yeah.
Boys, what a great spot you got there, and that sort of thing. So it's it makes us proud to do what we do here, and employ the people that we have here as well, and hopefully that we can expand on that as well sometime in the future. Right?
So as we look out the Narrows at a beautiful horizon out of the ocean, what's over the horizon for you?
Well, Chris and I, we talked about it. It's probably not going to happen maybe this year, but we talked about perhaps maybe doing some stuff on the other side. Chris is passionate about barbecue and smoking food, so we talked about perhaps maybe get a smokehouse or something sort of that.
I know.
Again, it's not going to happen this year, but perhaps maybe we'll get a bit of a nest egg and maybe make it happen next year.
Right.
But we'll see. And again, we talked about getting some food trucks and that sort of thing going on. And I mean, I'm 54 years old. I'm not done yet.
Yeah.
I'd like to be just one of those guys that got 10 things going on.
Yeah.
And just be busy and make a good living, and that's it.
Chris, talk to me about putting Newfoundland on the map with barbecue. Because Texas pretty much got that locked down, but let's talk about how Newfoundland can impact that.
It's just a food I love to eat. Personally, that's where my passion comes from. I truly just love the food, all about it. my friend Clint Brewer is a friend of mine. He's in Smuggler's Cove out in Grand Bank region, Grand Bank area, Marystown. He does fantastic barbecue. I have another friend here who's a catering company does barbecue, and there's a market for it. There is a desire for it here, and I've just for years thought that there could be a business here for that. So.
And there's probably some interesting game and things that you could barbecue here that it might be a little different than anywhere else.
Obviously moose and stuff like that, but I haven't worked a lot with that in barbecue myself. But it's just, for me, barbecue it's patience and time. It's the cure, the brine, and the rub, and the time to smoke it, and a fatty cut of meat that's undesirable to most home chefs because it takes so long to cook.
I'm getting hungry now. Well, that sounds fantastic.
Well, and again, it's something that Chris and myself we go after, like the whiskey bar. Something that St. John's don't have. Well, we talked about, of course, after this gets here, now you'll see freaking smokehouses pop up everywhere now, right? But St. John's don't have a good, proper smokehouse or barbecue place, right? I mean, it doesn't exist there. There are a few places, you go to Montana, but it's not that. It's not the same.
That's not what we're talking about.
That's not what we're talking. No, exactly. No, a good, and you're talking about Texas style, right? Maybe where you get your briskets, your pork bellies, and that sort of thing, your chicken, and your street corn, and your fresh baked beans, and your cornbread and all this stuff.
He's getting hungry.
No, I mean that's fantastic, right? So you just think about that, and think about people flying in here for the barbecue. I mean, they'll do it. They'll follow it, right? They'll follow that thing. This is a beautiful place to be. And what a lovely end of town to have something like that too, right? Because you can just see everything sprouting up around it. That sounds fantastic. We often ask our guests to leave the audience with a piece of advice. I'm telling you guys, this has been a truly inspirational journey you've taken us on. I mean, your relationship is tight. And the fact that you haven't said harsh words to one another, opening a restaurant and a bar in the middle of COVID, you guys are probably never going to say a harsh word to each other.
No, definitely not. No.
Because you've been through some tough times and you've navigated it well. So your journey is an inspirational one, both of you, independently and together. So let's start with you. What would a piece of advice be that you leave the audience with?
Well, my piece of advice is that if you want something, go get it.
Yeah.
Don't let anybody hold you down. Don't let words beat you down either. They're only words. And just chin up and just go get it. And love what you do. Don't do what you had because you had to do it. Do it because you want to do it. And if not, well, then it probably will not succeed. But you got to want it, and you got to want it bad, and you got to be passionate about it. So that's my advice.
Mine would be similar advice. I mean, follow your passion. Don't listen to what some other people say. Like for myself, like I was told, don't drop out in university. You're told you're in pre-med, you're going to be a doctor. Don't drop out. And I was told, don't open a restaurant, and don't. Be told don't all the time. Sometimes can hold you back. But if it's a passion and something you really want, and don't let it hold you back. Like you said, I'm too stubborn to fail, kind of thing. So I don't like failure.
Exactly.
I really don't sit well with me. So it's not something I see myself happening, hopefully.
That's right. And Chris is right. The failure is not a thing. I don't want to fail. I don't see me failing in any time soon, or ever, actually, for that matter. I mean, we've been successful in the last 2.5 years, and we got a long, long road ahead of us yet to be successful and make a good, comfortable living for our families and the people that work here as well. So we're just happy-go-lucky and just ready to go.
Jerry and I we're going to try something new on our podcast, and you guys will be the first guests that we do this with. And we're going to ask our guests a question, and what our goal is here is hope to inspire young people, right? And the question is a very simple one. What would you tell, you're not far off this, but what would you tell your 20-year-old self right now?
Oh, Jesus.
That's a long time ago for you.
Well, if I were my 20 years old again, I would say, you know what, work hard at it still. I mean, I've always worked hard, but I played a little hard in my 20s too. So, George Street back in my 20s was the place to be. I mean, you get off work, you make your pocket full of money, and you go and spend every cent of it and go back and do it again. But if I had my time back, I would not do that now. I'd save up my money. And even my age now, my generation, where retirement savings wasn't a thing in my generation, 20s. It was Canadian savings bonds then. You took $100 out of your paycheck every pay period, and geez, once you get $500 or $600, but look, call them up, say, hey, can you send me a check? Right? But just save up for your future, and just work hard. And again, don't have anybody tell you can't do it, right? Because you can. That's it.
How about you?
One thing that comes to mind for me is something actually my real estate agent taught me. My early 20s, the first house I bought, I was 21 years old when we bought our first house. And he always said, just write down your goals. He said, when you get in the morning, write down your goal. Write down where you want to be in 10 years or 5 years, whatever it is. And I did start doing that when he told me. And, one of them was to open a restaurant, by the time you're 35. And I, did it when I was 32. So you kind of visualize your goals, I guess, and have tangible goals in mind to what you want to hit, not just, don't be flighty about it. Actually put something down on paper in terms of where you want to be in 5, 10, 15 years and try to hit that goal.
Fantastic. Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, Alan, you and I are embarking on something special. I think with this, you two have really, really inspired me today. First of all, I want to say thank you for giving us this incredible view that we're going to showcase over the next couple of months on our podcast. But secondly, thank you for having the confidence to do what you do and hire 50 people. It's one thing to employ yourselves, another thing to employ 50 others. 50 people that need employment in this challenging environment that we're in right now. So thank you for being here.
No, thank you for
having us.
Yep. It was good. It was a good time.
Well, another wonderful edition of Gale Force Winds right here at the View Restaurant in East End of St. John's, right here on Duckworth Street. What a great conversation we had today with Barry and Chris, the owners of both the restaurant and the bar Solanche right next door. If you're in this area, this is really worth coming to see this place, for the view, but also I've had the pleasure of dining here, and it's really incredible. The food here is wonderful, and now I can see why. There's a lot of passion here. There's a lot of pride in what they do. They trust their team, they believe in their team, and they believe in one another. This is a recipe for success, and it's playing out right here in the East End of St. John. So thanks very much for joining Gale Force Winds, and I always like to leave the audience with my own piece of advice, and there's no doubt about it, the world needs more Barry and Chris. Thanks very much.
Thank you for tuning in to Gale Force Winds. That's Gale Force Winds, WINS.com.